Hello, welcome to Joos. My name is John McDonald, and today we're going to make a fun little Christmas arrangement. Now, this is really just going to involve artificial materials. I've got some nice dried twigs, some of which I've sprayed silver. I've got some artificial pine that's been glittered. We've got some really cute little Christmas trees. And all I've done is I've actually just put a wire onto the bottom of them so that I can pin that into the base, but you could glue them as well. Same with our pine cones. I've just wired the base as well with a wire, and then really our pièce de résistance are these little deer, and I discovered just round the door from me is a little craft shop, and this little craft shop is full of little decoration items. So at the moment, obviously, it's full of Christmas, and I just fell in love with these because they're just so cute and they're nice quality. So we're going to make our little arrangement, and what I want to use as a base for this is this agra wool, and we're going to use a nice low bowl. Now, it's whatever colour you want or whatever you have. This is just materials that I have. So I'm kind of go with a kind of silver, grey, blue sort of theme. But don't feel that you have to do that. You could go reds, you could go golds, whatever your colour scheme is, just go with that. So the agra wool is really easy to cut, and you can reuse it as well. So I've actually got some old pieces, and what I really want to do is wedge this right in so that there's no movement at all. So agra wool is basically like a basalt rock. It is more environmentally friendly than foam in the sense that it's been basically it's a natural substance, but the actual process of making it is maybe not so environmental, but it's better than microplastics, so it is an option worth looking at, and you can use it both for artificials or for fresh. Either is possible with this. So I've used it with fresh flowers, and then when finished I've just kept it, let it dry out, and some of these pieces are basically that. So you can reuse it again, which is quite interesting. As long as it's got enough strength in it, you can do that. So we've essentially got our base, which is the agra wool. It doesn't matter if there's some gappy bits, because ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to cover the top of this anyway. But you want to make sure that the good bits are where you're going to put any structural items, because they need to be strong enough to hold any stems like that. So we've got our base, and the first thing I want to do is place our higher items, so basically our twigs. Now with this agra wool, what you can see is that there's actually like a, how would you put it? There's a way it works. If I put materials in from this side, they're going to struggle to get through. If I do it where it follows the line that it's been made, the material stems will go in really well. So we're going to work with that, and we're going to pop in our stem. So this was just some stem that I found outside, and then these other pieces that are silver are actually contorted willow, and the contorted willow, or the fasciated willow, is just willow that it's actually got a virus which makes it go into all sorts of crazy shapes, but it's really interesting for using. Now actually I'm going to hold off from adding those, because there's a danger when you're making an arrangement that you can just have too much going on. So I like the shape of this branch, and I like the strength of this one, and this is just bringing things forward a little. So what we need to do is basically decide, where are we going to put our main items? So this is a good question. I think we want to have our deer really to the front. So he can go there. And then we can have a little look with our trees. I think we can go more to the back. And we'll have one to the front here. So what we're really wanting to do is we're wanting to create a little winter scene. So we need to make sure that there's depth and there's scale as well. So if these were smaller than the deer, it would look a little bit odd. The other thing that we can add is we can add things like a candle. So all I've done with this is add just a few cocktail sticks that skewered in quite nicely to the base. And we can add our candle. Now you want to make sure that your candles are quite secure. Personally, I probably wouldn't put it on. I would just have it for decor and then put some other lights round about. So we're creating this little scene. Now with our pine then, we can basically come in and just frame either side of the arrangement. So if you can see, we've brought this to this side, this to this side, and that just gives a little bit of framing. And then we can put, this was a little bit of fern that I had. And again, I've wired these. I thought they were quite cute. Now, you can glue everything in as well. You don't have to just place things, but it depends what you're wanting to do. If you want to make something that is literally going to be like a keepsake that you're going to bring out year after year, then I would suggest that you glue things in, make them really secure, and work with that. If you're really wanting to have it just for this year, then as long as it's not being moved around, you can just place things. As long as they're not going to get jiggled, that's okay. Or you can use wire pegs, basically just to hold things. You can pin things in. So I can take a wire, make a small section, and create like a little hairpin. So a little pin like that is just ideal for basically popping in the moss. So basically that helps hold it down, and it is like a hairpin essentially. So I need to just get a little bit of material here. I've got some nice moss, and we're going to use that. And this is just flat moss that I got from the garden. And again, what we're doing with this is we're creating a little bit of a line. So if you think about the horizontal plane, we can do a line of moss going from the front to the back or from one side to the other. That's okay. You're probably better putting in your mosses and things quite early on, so that when you put items like cones or whatever afterwards, then they're sitting on top of that. It makes it a lot easier. So really, all we need to do now is just build up our details. So this material is aluminum. It basically is a dried material. It comes in big stems. I'll show you what it's like. Essentially, that is the bunch of limonium. And you get different ones. This was one that was fresh, but it has dried. This one is specifically grown really for drying, and it makes a good filler. When I first started with flowers years ago, we used to use this a lot in dried arrangements. In fact, so much, it was a bit like Gypsophila, you actually got sick of it. So we can add that in, and we're going to use this as really our snowy highlight. And I would say if you're using it to really put it in quite strong. Don't leave it gappy is a good idea. But when you're making an arrangement like this, which is really just a bit of fun, then you make it to suit you. So if your thing is really sparkles, go sparkles. If it's really more natural, be natural. It doesn't really matter. It's something that you're going to enjoy and get the use out of, and have fun making, and hopefully you and the people who are with you at Christmas can enjoy it. So we've had a little bit of snow there. This is the only thing, this gets a little bit messy. But let's just build this snow in. Now I have to say a huge thank you to my friend's mum, Babs, for knitting me this jumper. We were at something and she was wearing a jumper similar to this, and I said, "Oh, I love your jumper." And she goes, "Oh, do you like it?" I said, "I really like it. It's the type of jumper I had when I was little." I said, "I'd love to have one." She goes, "Oh, I'll knit you one." So very kindly she said, "Well, if you get the wool, I'll knit the jumper." And I thought, oh, she's just being nice. But she really meant it, and she did it. So we arranged, got some wool, and she knitted it in like 3 weeks, which was just amazing. So thank you, Babs. I love the jumper. But it's quite warm. Well, it's warm in here, but it is really cozy and it fits well, and I love it. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Everyone's got different skills. So your skill might be making jumpers or working with flowers or whatever, or cooking. Come on, Christmas cooking is a great time for cooking. Whatever your skill is, just enjoy it and share it as well. She's also a very, very good crafty person. So she paints exceptionally well and makes different craft things. So I was in awe when I went to pick up my jumper and just saw what type of things she does in her house. So as you can see, the status gives us a nice snowy effect. And as I said before, more is more with the status. You'll get a better effect as you add in more and make it quite compact. So really you're making an area of status rather than you look at it and see the status as status, which is better. So now we need to have a little look at our little animals and just our arrangement in general. Because of the material round about, he was just sitting a little bit low. So we're going to put some more reindeer moss. Unfortunately, I don't have any grey reindeer moss, which is a shame. That would have been better. And I'm going to just pin that down just to hold it. So yeah, this is a danger if you're using or creating something where something is on the ground. It has to be on the ground. There's nothing worse than it looking like it's actually sitting in the ground. So like, say for example, you're making a football out of flowers for a sympathy item. You do see them where people have let them sit low into the ground and it just doesn't quite work. So as you can see, we're building up our little scene. Now at this point, you can really do anything you want. You can add any little details. I've got some little baubles here. We can just pop into the woodland bit. I've also got these little balls, which I think are quite cute, and they can go in. And again, you can put them on a wire. I've got this one on a little wire, and we can use that little wire just to help hold it. And it's little details that are going to make this fun. So when I was going through just my kind of mix box, I've even got a little mushroom. We can just pop our little mushroom at the back. Now he would be better on a wire. So in some ways more is more, but in some ways be careful not to overdo it, because then it can all look a little bit like a hot mess, which is not really what you want. You still want it to be nicely styled and tasteful, even though it is like a fantasy design. You've got to just be careful not to overdo it. And that really is us. We've got our little winter scene. Oh no, one sec. I found this. This was just a little bit of cotton, so he can go in the back. I think adding different things just gives it interest. So we can pop in our little bit of cotton there. Need a little bit more of the limonium here. But as you can see, you can enjoy making this. I've made this quite quickly, just so that you're not hanging on. But you could really see what you've got, see what your best container is, decide where you're going to place an arrangement such as this, ideally in a place that people can really see it, but it's not going to get bumped or bashed or damaged in any way. And also in a place that's got good lighting. There's no point in making something that is beautiful and then it's in a dark corner and you really don't see it. So there we go. We've got our little Christmas design, a little bit of a fantasy Christmas diorama, and something that hopefully will make your guests and visitors smile, and children will love it. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, then click here to subscribe. If you've already subscribed, then thank you. We've got new videos every week and we'd love you to join us for our next design. So until then, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you soon.